Hello, everyone. This is Haley Wazinski, the Physician and Program Relations Manager here at Practice Match. This webinar is going to be all about searching and applying for job opportunities. So we know that eventually, no matter if we are in our first year or in our last year, we're going to have to start searching for those job opportunities. So one of the things that we are going to look at tonight is how to effectively do that without wasting our time or getting into things that we don't necessarily need to do. So just to start off, just as a reminder, anytime during the webinar, if you do have questions, feel free to ask those questions over in the chat box, or go ahead and ask them at email or to my email address, practicepath@practicematch.com. Just because we do have everyone muted throughout the session, just to make sure that there's not that excess background noise that can sometimes get in the way. So to start off, the first thing that we need to do is we need to search for jobs. But we don't just go out there and automatically know what we're looking for or where to go. So we're going to focus on determining our preferences. We're going to look at where we should be searching for those opportunities, as well as what to look for in those opportunities. So determining preferences. This is a big thing that not a lot of people do because sometimes we just see the end goal of, hey, I'm going to be a physician. I'm going to go practice. So there are some preferences that we need to determine before we actually start to look at opportunities. Those are going to be things like our geographic preference. Are we looking at a specific city, state? Are we just looking in a region? Are we looking to be in that rural area, that mid-sized metro, in the suburbs? Those are things that you have to start thinking about before you start applying for job opportunities. Just because once you apply somewhere, you may not know, hey, do I necessarily want to live in a rural community or do I want to stay in that metro community? So thinking about that, talking with, your spouse, family member, best friend, whomever, about that, just to try to figure that out and to really gauge your preferences is going to help you in the long run. Also, start thinking about things like practice type that you want to practice in. Because once again, you may be in residency or fellowship right now and think, hey, I want to continue on with academic medicine, don't really want to look at too many other practice types. But you may find out that you really want to do hospitalist work, locums. You may want to stay in academic. You may want to go into a single specialty or multi-specialty group. So once again, explore those different options. And if you're not really familiar with what the difference is between the different options that are out there, we do have a spot on our website that actually breaks down all those different practice types under our career resources tab. Also, start thinking about those perks that you're looking for. So we know that not every job is going to offer us the same exact compensation or bonuses or those perks. So you want to start looking at things like, are you very interested in loan repayment? Because maybe you have a ton of loans and you need some help with those and you'd love to get that from your first job opportunity. Or maybe you're really looking at, hey, I want somewhere where I'm going to get a good sign-on bonus, and then I want those bonuses that are going to be recurring. Maybe it's a quarterly bonus. Maybe it's bonuses based off production. So you want to check into those things. Also, do they offer relocation assistance? Because if you are someone who is living on the East Coast and you're going to be moving to the Midwest or the West Coast, that's going to cost you some big travel fees. So you want to see, hey, if I am going to be, moving, will I be getting that, will I be getting that assistance, or is this all going to be out of pocket for myself? So start thinking about what perks you're really looking for. So that way, as you start to go through job opportunities, if some of them seem like they might be a good fit, but they're not offering you those things that you're looking for, hey, this is one that I'm going to go ahead, probably not going to spend too much time on because they're not offering anything I'm looking for. Also, visa sponsorship. This is a really big one. If you are on a visa, you want to make sure that whatever opportunity or opportunities that you're applying to match up with that visa sponsorship. I've heard it before from recruiters who have found candidates that are great, but they're on a J1 visa and they can't sponsor J1 for that position. Or vice versa. I've had physicians who said, yeah, I found a great opportunity, but they don't offer a visa sponsorship. So as I show you how to use our job board, I'll make sure to show you where you can go in to search for that. But always double check in the description that they do offer that visa sponsorship if that's something that you need. So where to look for those opportunities? So like I said, there's different avenues that we can go about. One of them is job boards. So if we go ahead and we go to the Practice Match website, which is just going to be www.practicematch.com, from here, you can see on the left-hand side, we have our physician job search. So this is a really easy way that I can come in, I can find my specialty. We'll say I'm family medicine and I'm looking in Illinois. So from here, I can click go. And then once I click go, it's going to bring up those different job opportunities for me. So I can scroll down, I can see what the different opportunities are titled. Also over on the right-hand side, I can even see how many days ago was this posted or how many hours ago. So kind of a nice thing here. But let's say that I'm looking for something specific. I can go over to the left-hand side, and from here, if I want to look at a specific site, I can, or I can even narrow it down by that visa status, like I mentioned earlier. So we have 15 J1 visa opportunities, 16 H1 opportunities, and then underneath there, we can even see that we have some where they do not offer loan repayment, some that do, and some that are negotiable. So that's a really great way that we can come in here and we can find those specifics that we're looking for. So you'll notice that the loan repayment doesn't add up to all the opportunities. That is something that's newer on our website. So not everyone has that on their listed on the opportunity in there, but it may actually be in that job description. So let's go ahead and, let's scroll down a little bit and we'll say that we're going to look at this excellent work-life balance because maybe that's something that intrigues me. I can click on that and I can see from here that it's going to bring up that organization's logo for me. Over on the right-hand side, it's going to show me a little Google map image of where it's at. And then from here, I can go in and I can actually read that information. So from here, I can see all that information about, 3,000 acres of lush forest. BCBE and family medicine or internal medicine, US citizens. So I can see all of that info that I need to see. And then from here, if this is something I'm interested in, I can go ahead and click apply. If you have a Practice Match account, there will also be a button that you can save it. So that way, if you're not necessarily ready to apply now, you can actually save it and come back to it later. So that's a nice thing about the job board. And if we go back in and go back up to the top, I can even look for specific title or keywords. So if I am looking for that hospitalist, if I'm looking for, work-life balance or anything like that, I can put that into that keyword search and see what comes up for me. So kind of a nice thing with that. But if we go ahead, we go back in, another thing is that organization's website. So if you know of an organization that you're interested in, and we'll just go to Southern Illinois here, if you come into the Career Center and you say, hey, you know what, this opportunity sounds great, but I want to see if maybe they have others in the area that just aren't listed yet, you can come on here and you can actually go to their website to say, I want to look at their physician careers. So that's just another place that you can go in and you can actually see that information, which is always a really great thing as well. So if you are in an organization's website, make sure that you're going to those physician careers. Sometimes it'll just say careers, but that may be for other, things in the hospital, such as, physician assistants, nurse practitioners, janitorial staff, administration. So make sure that you're choosing the right section on that website. Also, if you have never used LinkedIn, I see about 2 to 3 job postings from clients every single day on LinkedIn. So that's a really great place that if you go to um, a career fair or conference, you meet with someone and you're interested in that organization, create a professional LinkedIn profile picture or profile with, a professional picture and go ahead and connect with those different recruiters, connect with that organization and follow it. So that way you can see when those jobs are posted. That's a really great way, once again, if you're interested in those opportunities, to be able to see them pretty quickly. Also, career fairs. At Practice Match, we host both live and virtual career fairs. So even if you can't attend a career fair in person physically, you can at least connect from your phone or your laptop and chat with those recruiters via instant messaging or texting, depending if you're on your phone or your laptop. But that's a really easy way to get to talk to recruiters in areas where maybe you can't travel to, or maybe you're stuck at the hospital, you can't get out, or maybe, life happened, you wanted to go to a career fair, but you couldn't because your kid was sick, you had to stay home with them. This is an easy way to get in, chat for 10, 15 minutes, whatever it takes for you, and chat with those different recruiters and find out what opportunities they have out there. Also, consider chatting with your colleagues and your mentors. You never know who knows of a position. So, if you haven't heard the phrase, there's a very common phrase that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So, same thing here. Chat with your colleagues, your mentors. Say, you know what, I'm kind of interested in doing a hospitalist position, back home in Tennessee, because you don't know who they know. Maybe there's an alumnus that is from Tennessee or who went back to Tennessee to work there. Maybe an old program coordinator or director, they moved to Tennessee and now they're at a specific hospital that can help get you into the door there. So always chat to find out. Just because you never know what other opportunities you might find just by striking up a conversation. That doesn't mean, go to your program director every single day and say, hey, do you know of an opportunity in this area? Do you know of an opportunity in that area? But every once in a while, just bringing that up. Hey, you know what? I'm interested in going to the Nashville area. Do we have anyone who used to work here or came through the program that works in that area that I can maybe get in touch with to find out a little bit more? Um, because that's just a way that you can get your foot into the door and maybe strike up a conversation with someone and find a great opportunity. So also, as you are looking at job opportunities, like I said earlier, when I clicked on the one opportunity, maybe I'm interested in that work-life balance and I saw that really, caught my eye. I want to make sure I still go through the rest of the opportunity and not just get stuck on, hey, they said it's a good work-life balance. You still want to go into that opportunity and actually read what is the geographic location. Because sometimes maybe it's a job at a clinic and it's actually posted for 5 different sites, but it doesn't specify which site it is. So that's something that I want to know going into it. Same thing, check what those typical, responsibilities, duties are, because sometimes you may not be able to get that just from that job title alone. So actually go in, see if it lists anything out there for you. Does it tell you what your call schedule is? Does it tell you, how many days on, how many days off you are? Does it tell you, are you going to be working just weekdays? Are you also going to be required to work weekends? So you want to go in and you want to be able to read that information. Also, like I mentioned, visa sponsorship. Go in there, make sure that they do offer it, or do they not offer it? Because once again, you don't want to get far along in that process of, hey, I have my hopes up on this, set on getting this one opportunity, but it's one that's not actually applicable to me. Also, look for those perks like loan repayment and relocation assistance. Sometimes, like I said, it may not be listed on that outside part, but it may be in the actual description itself. So just double check it. Also, a really easy Control F search will help you be able to see, loan repayment or relocation without, having to reread it, 4 or 5 times because, hey, I think I missed it, or I'm not sure if I missed it. So make sure that you are looking for those things in the opportunity. So then what's next? After we start looking at those opportunities, what is our next step? So like I mentioned before, we can save that opportunity if we're on the Practice Match website and we have a Practice Match profile created. If you don't have a profile created, or you're not on the website, favorite it on your taskbar. Have that saved so that way you can come back to it once you are ready to apply. Also, start preparing to apply if you're not already. So we're going to look at that in a minute to see what we actually need to do to prepare to apply. And then after we've prepared, that's when we are actually able to start applying for those opportunities. So whenever we're preparing to apply, what do we need to do? Number one, we either need to create a CV if we don't have one created already, or we need to go in and we need to update that CV if we do have one created. So some of you might think, oh, well, I just updated it not too long ago, still good to go. But ask yourself these few questions. Number one, whenever you submitted your last CV, was it for the same job type? So for instance, was it for an academic position and this one's for a hospitalist position? Or were they both for academic positions? The reason why I ask that is because the information that you put on your CV needs to be relevant to that opportunity that you're applying for. So the language that you use, the descriptions that you make for those opportunities need to match up with whatever type of opportunity you are applying for. Also, if you need to create a CV and you just feel really overwhelmed by it, you're not sure where to start, on the Practice Match website, you can actually go into a CV creator and you can create that CV. So just to show you where that is really quick, if we go back to the main page here at Practice Match, you can go to Physicians, Career Resources, and then on the left-hand side at the top is the CV Builder. So you'll be able to go in there and you'll be able to create that CV. Also, create a cover letter. So I had a physician recently say, I don't really think that a cover letter is necessary. A cover letter is not going to hurt your chances of being contacted by this organization. So go ahead and create one. If you've never created one before, I'd be more than happy to send you a webinar on a webinar recording on how to create a cover letter. But basically in there, you want to have 3 paragraphs with, that description of why you're applying for that opportunity, as well as an example of why you want to apply, and you want to make it a personal letter. So including that recruiter's name that you're sending this to, instead of a to whom it may concern, including a specific example. Maybe it's close to home. Maybe it's just a place that inspires you because they're doing research on a topic that you're passionate about. Whatever that reason is, include that in there to help really, sell yourself to that organization as a viable candidate. Also, clean up your social media. I'm sure that we've all heard recently of athletes and other, celebrities having old tweets or Facebook pictures or, social media posts that are coming out now and they're painting them in a bad light. So it may have been something that, you wrote in undergrad, didn't really think of, but, this patient is just being a real pain in the butt today. That doesn't paint you in a great light. He didn't necessarily say anything super bad or anything like that, but the more that you find that you're complaining about a lot of patients, if you're complaining about your colleagues, about your program itself, maybe go in and delete those because those are not going to paint you in a great light. It may just be, hey, I was just venting, letting off some steam, but still, you want to make sure that your social media doesn't have anything on there that is going to make an organization go, hey, you know what happens when we hire this person and they have a bad day here? Are they going to go badmouth us on social media? Same thing with pictures. If you have a lot of pictures of you, partying, drinking a lot of alcohol, doing drugs, anything like that, go ahead, take those off social media. Untag yourself from them if it's on a friend's page, just because once again, you don't want an organization to go, okay, you know what? Yes, somebody's allowed to do what they want in their free time, but is this someone that we want to be the face of our organization? So make sure that you go through, you clean those up, just so that way, once again, an organization doesn't look at it and go, maybe we should pass on this candidate. So then once we've, prepared to apply, we're ready to apply. One of the top things to do is to submit your CV as a PDF. So the reason why you want to do that is because I'm sure that at some point in your career, you've had a different version of Word than what your school's computer had, or than what your professor had, or a colleague had. And all of a sudden, some of the formatting just gets a little messed up and it kind of messes things up, on the flow of the paper and things like that. We don't want that to happen with our CV. We want to make sure that it goes over clean and organized and that it's not a mess by the time they get it. So make sure that you are saving your CV as a PDF. If you've never done that before, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to show you how to do that. Also, if they have an application that you are answering questions on, answer those questions honestly. Same thing if you've attended a CV webinar. If you're putting down languages and you put down Spanish, but you really only say a few phrases in Spanish, not being honest. Same thing here. If they ask you a question like, have you had any felonies? Um, do you speak additional languages? Have you had any issues with, a coworker, whatever it may be? Make sure that you're answering them honestly, because even if you're trying to kind of skirt around it, it's going to come off as a little sketchy, and they're going to wonder, why was this person not being honest? If they're going to be deceitful in an application, what else are they going to be deceitful with? So make sure that you're answering honestly throughout that entire application. Also, mark on your calendar when you apply to that opportunity. A lot of times you may get an automatic response saying, thank you for your submission. We'll review and get back to you in 7 to 10 days. We'll review and get back to you by a specific date. If you don't get that automatic reply, you still want to have it marked on your calendar so that way you know when is a good follow-up time. If you haven't heard anything back in 2 days, does that mean that you need to reach out to them? Or does that mean, hey, at the end of the week, I'm going to go ahead and reach back out just to make sure that they received it? So you want to have that marked down so that way, once again, you know what is a reasonable follow-up time. Or if you did apply on Monday, you got the, hey, we'll get back to you in 7 to 10 days, and all of a sudden it's next Friday. Should you be reaching out then? That's the kind of thing that you want to be able to know, so that way you're not coming across as, an eager beaver to the point where they're like, okay, it's been, 15 minutes. Why are they already, sending us 3 emails asking, did we receive it? Did we receive it? Did we receive it? So going back, if you did apply, you haven't heard anything, you didn't get that automatic reply back. If you haven't heard anything back within a week, send an email to that organization. If you have the specific recruiter who is in charge of that job posting, go ahead and send them an email. Hi, my name is Dr. So-and-so. I had applied on this date. I just wanted to make sure that my application went through. If it did not, is there somebody else who I should be sending this to? So that way you can make sure that you're not wasting time of, hey, I'm going to still wait and hopefully they'll get back to me. So then next steps. So you're going to have to wait to hear from that organization. So like I said, they may say, hey, you have to wait 7 to 10 days. But after that, once again, follow up in a week if you haven't gotten a response and they didn't say a specific time frame. But from there, you're going to start to go on interviews if you're a viable candidate for them. So that means you're going to start doing the phone interviews, the site visits. So be prepared for that. On the flip side, if they say, hey, thank you so much for your submission, but at this time we've decided to go another way, that's when you have to start going back into the job boards, attending more career fairs, looking on LinkedIn, looking on that organization's website to figure out, hey, where's another place that I can apply? Also, if you apply at an organization and you don't get that one opportunity, that doesn't mean, hey, don't apply to any other opportunities. It may just mean that they were a little further on in that process and they've already found candidates that they're interviewing. And so they don't want to bring in more candidates for that interview. So that also doesn't mean on the flip side of that, hey, I really like this organization. I'm going to apply for every single opportunity within that organization that matches my specialty, because that's going to come across as spammy to them as to, hey, why is a physician applying to 65 jobs within, an hour every single day? So make sure that you're being reasonable with that. Just so that way, once again, they don't just look at it as, hey, is this even a real physician, or is this just, some sort of robot that's trying to apply to our opportunities? So once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email those over to practicepath@practicematch.com, or go ahead and call or text my cell phone at 314-745-0869. But thank you so much for attending, and I hope to see you at another webinar.